What's going on, everyone, and welcome to Movie Emporium's movie review of Gundala, the newest film from director Joko Anwar. Before we begin, please hit that subscribe button and join Movie Emporium. Notification bell at the top to find out what's coming next. If you like any of these videos, hit that like button as well. It helps the Movie Emporium channel out, as well as comment below on any video you watch, including this one. So Gundala is based off the very famous Indonesian comic book superhero story that was written in the late 60s by Aryasatya, and it follows a young kid who becomes a superhero that can conduct lightning, regenerate himself, and he fights bad guys. It's a pretty typical superhero story when you think about it. But with Indonesian action films, the one thing that I find fascinating about them is the visceral nature of the action in the movie. There is a storyline nature to it, but the action is so in your face. It's most of it's shot on handhelds, and it just has a different feel to anything in the world of action. It's just a whole new level. Like they're, inspired by like the Bruce Lees and Jackie Chan's, but it is in your face. It is beautiful to watch, and the choreography is like a dance sequence. It's such an amazing thing. So when the Raid and Raid 2 came out, they became popular for that particular reason, because of the kinetic nature and the fantastical nature and just the beautiful nature of what these films can do. So Gundala is in that realm of visual action films, and so I was kind of intrigued by it. I always like, to see what different countries will do with superhero films. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not. It just depends on, the nature of the films. But because this character of Gundala has such a rich history and back history, they've created a Marvel and DC style universe for this character, as well as some other characters they've created, just by the fact that when this movie opens, there is a DC style opening with all their characters. There's a lot of characters in this universe, apparently, which is really cool. And so, like I said, with the beginning of this opening, this story follows a kid named Sancaka, and he is a young kid. He's poor. His dad is trying to fight for rights for the family, to feed the family. And it's fascinating because the kid unfortunately loses his father. He runs away from his mother, and he kind of lives on the streets. He's being chased after a bunch of thugs and bullies and kids who do some really kind of crazy stuff to him. And then he grows up to be a security guard, and in the process, he can conduct lightning. He can be regenerated from that lightning, and he can take on 30 thugs if he wants to. It's pretty cool. So, but Gundala is fascinating because it also deals with real world issues, which is really fascinating. It deals with poverty. It deals with people who deal with moralities of, good and bad. And it also deals with the poor. It deals with the idea of these kids and these adults who are just basically ravaging this city to take whatever they want. And that's a really fascinating take, because when it comes to superhero movies, most of the time it's a supernatural being or an entity like Thanos who all the superheroes have to save Earth to fight. And there's nothing wrong with that. I love the next Marvel movie just as much as the next person. But I really felt something about this characters. The story's not the best well-written story. It deals with some really kind of weird tropes, but those tropes might be just something I'm not used to seeing. But the characters in this movie are just fascinating to watch. And on top of that, every few minutes, you're getting a cool visceral action sequence. The main villain in this movie, who's named Pankor, he was a kid who grew up as a poor child. And he basically created this military-style army of random people that were also homeless and so on and so forth, who actually grew up, had big jobs. And they're just so different and wildly entertaining to watch. But Pankor is basically trying to inject these pregnant women with the morality gene or whatever that will cause them to basically go after one another. He wants to create total chaos, kind of like what the Joker wants to do a little bit. But he's disfigured and stuff like that. And he's an interesting villain. I mean, he is a character that is very intimidating for his stature. He does some really interesting stuff in this movie, really disturbing stuff in this movie. But I really kind of enjoyed what they were doing with this villain. It actually feels like a morality villain that actually has a lot of stakes and a lot of weight to why they do what they do. And I don't know, it's very interesting to see those types of things in a superhero movie. But this movie, like I said, the guy who plays the adult Sancaka, he is a character that lives just in a normal life, and he runs across this young woman and this child who kind of know what he is about. And that's also kind of the other interesting thing, is when it comes to superhero movies, a lot of times the people that you are most connected to, that you're close to, don't know your secret identity. Unlike Iron Man and now Superman and the Zack Snyder movies, people don't really know who your superheroes are and like the behind the costume thing, and there's a reason for that, so they can be protected. But here it's just they know, they saw what happens to them, and it is what it is. But like I said, outside the morality tale, the action in this movie is just insanely kinetic. It is insanely visceral. There are times where they're just like going on a 5 to 6 minute brawl where they're just fighting back forth with one another. It reminds me a lot of similar to stuff to like Old Boy and stuff like that, where it's not a lot of cuts. They're just one going after one another, and it's brutal, it's violent, and it's kind of amazing to watch. And that's what I just really enjoy about this movie, is the fact that it's so different from a superhero movie. It's definitely a rated R superhero movie, and it does so much nice stuff with this material. Now, of course, I have not read the comic or ever heard of the comic before this movie, but I'm kind of fascinated to kind of learn about it. I'm interested in this universe now because I think what Joko Anwar is doing is very, very fascinating. He's sticking to his, his culture and what they deal with in this country, but he's also giving a really cool, feel to the superhero genre. The only other issue with the movie is, of course, the visual effects, but this movie definitely didn't have the hundreds of millions of dollars the Avengers have, so you can tell when the visual effects are happening. But they have a cool idea of using lightning and stuff like that being conducted to this person. But I think if you want to go outside the bounds of the DC Marvel universe and you want to look for something kind of unique and fun and cool, check this movie out. I think you'll enjoy it. I especially did. I mean, it's a couple hours long, and you have fun, and the characters are interesting and entertaining, and it has some really interesting, deep messages, which I was really not expecting out of a superhero film. So, yeah, that's my take on Gundala. It's definitely a recommend if you're willing to check it out. It is $5 on the typical streaming services, so definitely worth a check. So yeah, that is my take on Gundala. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below if you do decide to watch this movie. Like I said, it was a lot deeper than I thought it was going to be, and a lot more action visceral than I was even expecting, so I was really surprised. But anyways, if you like this video, cool, hit that like button. Dislike it, it is what it is. But also subscribe to the channel, which is Movie Emporium, and notification bell at the top to find out what's coming next. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out.
What's up, guys? Thank you so much for checking out Movie Emporium. I really appreciate it. If you want to, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification button and the bell at the top. Find out what's coming next for Movie Emporium. Also, check out these 2 videos. They're amazing. I think they're awesome. I think you'll enjoy them too. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.